Ooh, that looks tasty.
Gamer is back with another crowdfunding preview, and today we're talking about Reavers of Midgard, the card game from Gray Fox Games. And this is the second game in their Midgard New Games crowdfunding campaign they're doing, the other being Clans of Midgard, and you can check out my video on that as well if you are interested. There's a link down in the description. Now, what this game is this is a game where you are taking the part of a Viking longship and you are raiding these different towns here. And you're hopefully, if things go well for you, raiding towns all by yourself because you get more treasure that way. But if not, then you have to fight the other Vikings and there becomes all kinds of terror and problems and yada yada yada. And the way that's going to be done is through a blind auction is what I'm going to call it. And you'll be using these cards here to pick where your longship's going to go. And this is a great time for me to point out that everything you see here is still in the prototype phase. For example, I'm just using little meeples here, but they are going to be little wooden longships. And you'll be sending them out to different cities to raid what they have. And what they have is going to be determined each round by this deck of cards here. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played and just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's do a relatively quick overview of how this game is going to work. First thing to know is the game is going to end when this deck right here runs out. And until then, every round you will flip one over, and it's going to tell you what happens. And what this is saying is all of the towns will get their gold, they'll get their treasure cards, farms, walls, and forts. However, other cards may have fewer things on them like so. But for this instance, what this is telling us is this card right here on Roskilde flips over, so now there's different things available there. And then everywhere is going to get their gold, treasure cards, and everything else. So we come to our supply, we go here, and I will put up my gold. And also you'll note that there weren't any gold prototype pieces, so I'm just using some metal coins I happen to have. And so I'd place out a coin there. I would place out 3 coins there. There would be 2 gold there, and 1 gold down here. Then we would have 3 treasure cards, which would flip out like so. Then we would have our forts, our walls, our farms, and our forts, all like so. Then every player would use their deck here, and they would choose where it is they want to go. And so we'll just say that I've decided that I really want all this stuff here. So I'm going to go to Vasteras. So I'd put that down and face down in front of me. Everyone else would do the same when everyone's done so. You would flip this over. And then we would send our ships wherever it is they need to be. And so we'll just pretend that this happened like this. And I was all alone over here. That's going to be very good for me. I will also tell you now that each round, you leave the card that you played previously out on the board because you always have to move. So until I play my next card, I can't pick Vasteras back up, meaning I can't go here next round. For simplicity, we look here and we see I'm alone, which means I get everything. I get the wall, the farm, the fort, and the gold. Additionally, I can use this ability here, which would be spend 2 of my coins to get rid of a terror token if I have any. In this case, I don't have any, but I would be able to do that. Now, over here, there is a big mess of a whole bunch of Vikings there fighting. So the first thing that happens is we add a terror token there, and somebody's going to get stuck with that. Then everything else we take, and it gets divided up. So in this instance, I'm just going to flip these over so it's easier for you to see what we're dealing with. We have 1 art treasure card, 3 gold, a terror token, and a fort. And the players can decide how it is they want to do that. So we'll just say that they've decided that there's a fort, the art with the terror, and the 3 coins, or the 3 things. And they could say, okay, one of us will take this, one will take this, one will take that. However, if they can't decide, then everything stays here where it is, and everyone gets a terror token, and that is bad. Now, I'm going to stop and talk about the treasure cards briefly, because there are a bunch of different types. Now, the most basic type are these here, the armor, the art, the tapestries, and the treasure, which are simple set collection. The more you have, the more points they're going to be worth. However, there's also weapons. which are, for example, our axes and spears and our bows and arrow. And those will be worth 5 points, but you also roll this die. And if you get that symbol, you'll wind up getting another terror. That symbol, nothing happens. But if you get this symbol right here, you'll get to draw another treasure card. And this does stack, so if I were then to draw another bow and arrow, I would get to roll again. And that's going to be in-game scoring. Now, the other space that I want to talk about is this space right here. Because this is a space that you can go to, and there's a whole bunch of things that you're able to do. You start at the top and you go down. So for example, in this instance, I could take a terror if I'd gone here, and then I could make a purchase of one of these cards. And this is going to be done in turn order, each of the spots going down. And what this would allow me to do is basically buy one of these cards before my opponent gets to on this next spot down here. And each of these has some kind of different ability that goes with it. For example, this one right here, you're going to score 1 victory point for each wall that you have at the end of the game, which are these right here. And there's a bunch of different in-game scoring conditions in those, as well as other abilities. Additionally, at the end of the game, you're going to add up all of your yellow numbers here, in this case 3, and you're going to multiply it by all of your red numbers added up. So if this was my in-game hand, I would have 3, 5, 7 times 3, or 21 points. And then the cost is up here. The next one right here, I could spend a coin to wipe the market there, and then I could purchase 2 for their cost. And then down here, it lets me buy farms and walls and get rid of terror. And basically, that's how this game's going to work, and you're going to play through until this deck is empty. And what's important is every round you're going to get a different one of these cards, and what they'll do is they'll determine what goes out, and sometimes it's going to make you flip various locations or get rid of these cards up here. So for example, this one here, I would flip Roskilde over, which would give us different things that you can do there, and I would flip all of the other locations over, which would change them up as well. And that's pretty much how this game works. You're going to do 10 different rounds, and there are 12 of these cards. You'll discard 2 of them before you start, and you're going to play through, and at the end of the game, you're going to add up all of your various points, and whoever has the most points is going to be the winner. And I will point out that terror tokens are exponentially bad. The more you have, the more negative points they are worth. And that's pretty much how this game works. So, what do I like about this game? The first thing that I enjoy that it has a, and this is how Lance from Grey Fox put it when I did a demo with him, is it has a Euro game party vibe to it. And what I mean by that is you're very clearly doing what feels like a Euro game. But because there's so much interaction going on, you're all kind of picking your card at the same time. It also kind of has that party game vibe to it. And that does make the game somewhat unique. The next thing I'll say is I do appreciate the way the interaction works, in that there is this very obvious demarcation of what things are inherently worth. Inherently, a fort is worth more than a farm, that type of thing. And I appreciate how that works because it does make the kind of division of the spoils relatively easy. And at the same time, I also like that there's always the option to be like, you know what, I don't feel like I'm getting a good deal here, so fine, I'm done. We're not dealing, everything stays, maybe you'll get it later. And that brings me to the next thing that I like. I do like that there is an awesome feeling when you're playing in a large player count game and you are the only person to go somewhere and you get all this loot. It's awesome. And at the same time, there's those wonderful moments when there's a place that is clearly the best place to go, everybody knows it, and then no one goes there because everyone thinks you're going to have to share with everybody. And I think that works really, really well. I like the point salad nature of the game as well. I think all the different things that you can do, you always do feel like you're making some progress as you're going through the game. And I also, again, I think that works particularly well. So all of that I particularly enjoy. So what are my quibbles with the game? The first one is not necessarily with the game itself, but is with this style of game. And you have to be aware of who are you playing with. You have to be willing to make deals. That's just the way the game goes. And you have to be willing to make deals rather quickly so the game doesn't bog down. This game is at its best when you're doing a quick division of the spoils, saying, okay, I'll do this. No, I'll counter with this. Okay, I'll counter with this. This, done. That's when the game is cooking. And there are obviously those types of players that will just dig in and fight tooth and nail. And that's where I think the game might start to lose some of its appeal because, as I said, it has more of that party game vibe than it does of a heavy, crunchy Euro, even though there are some particularly heavy, crunchy, fun mechanics in the game. And then my only other quibble is the main area that you can go, kind of the home base where you have all the different actions that you can take, that can bog down because what can sometimes happen is as you're playing, everyone else gets all their stuff done and you're still waiting for two players to kind of finish cycling through that list of things that you have there. And so it can bog down. Now, with that being said, if you've played a few times, that the pace of that certainly will pick up as you go through. But really, that's pretty much it. All in all, I enjoyed this game significantly more than I thought I was going to because in general, my personal tastes are not the negotiation style games. I tend to feel like they can bog down and people just get stubborn and whatever. But the times I've played it, I actually did not feel that way. And so I was very pleasantly surprised by this game. I think it's doing some interesting things in the space. I think once you get to the actual production version of the game that has all the different bits, all the pieces, the fancy cards and the stronger colors with better contrast and all those things, I think it's going to be a pretty good looking game. I think with the right group of players, this will be a very fun game and one that certainly belongs in that negotiation space that you might already have when you think of games like Moonrakers and games of that ilk. I think it has a place in that vein and is one that I think for the right group of players is really gonna click. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp so I can get that into the Klingon subtitles. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.